Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another module in the Syndicate program. Today, we're going to be talking about building your company structure. Okay, probably one of the most important and fundamental aspects of actually building any business, but specifically your agency, your consultancy, your coaching business, whatever you have. So, very, very vital that you take this seriously because your team will lead ultimately to your success of your agency. Okay, and it's your responsibility to make sure that you are building your company structure out properly and you're going about your hiring properly. Okay, so let's talk about identifying doers versus thinkers, enabling team members to grow within the company, creating incentive, and visually laying out your structure. Okay, so what is a doer? All right, someone who is told what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. They typically need more guidance and structure to their position. These are typically people who are good at their job when they're told what to do, but don't perform well when given tasks and responsibilities that rely on independence. Okay. These types of people are best performing your agency's day-to-day tasks, which are mundane and not producing the highest level of ROI for your agency. Okay. An example of this would be like a social media management and repurposing VA, your social media manager, things like that. Okay. Now, what is a thinker? All right. So someone who knows what they have to do and can work independently. These people will typically create new ideas and take action to test those ideas on their own regard. These types of people are ideal for growing into your high-level executive roles. Okay, so an example of this would be like a chief marketing officer, right? Typically someone who is, maybe been a growth strategist or a paid ad specialist or a media buyer. This is someone who can evolve into someone like a CMO, a chief marketing officer, okay? Now, the reason that I touch on this is because in your hiring process, which we do get into in later modules, it's very, very important that you basically identify right away if someone is more of a doer or more of a thinker. Because the thing is hiring doers can be good, but they only have a certain use for your agency and within your agency. Most of the time, you're going to be wanting to hire for thinkers, people that can be independent. They can come up with new strategies, new approaches, new methodology, and new things that they can internalize within themselves and then actually go execute on. They don't need to be running everything by you. They don't need to be told what to do. They don't need to be told to be creating strategy. They don't need to be told, what tasks they should be doing, how to prioritize, how to do this, how to do that. You don't want to hire anyone in especially roles that are going to lead to actual results for your agency who just aren't independent, okay? You want to be hiring for thinkers, all right? So key concepts to understand. The way you structure your team will alter how much potential your team members are able to grow within your organization and how incentivized they're able to be as they stay on board, okay? So again, the problem with most agency owners is they structure their team actually very, very poorly. They get way too many team members at the start, which forces you as an agency owner to make sure that, of course, your profit margins are kept strong. So now you have 5 team members making $1,000 each instead of just having one team member making $5,000 or one team member making $2,500 or $3,000. Whatever makes sense, and where that team member is actually really, really happy and they're pumped to be going to work because they're actually being paid what they deserve and they feel like they're doing a good work and they're kept busy. But where most people go wrong is they hire too fast, too many people because they think that they need to be hiring all these specialists. And then they start having to, cut their margins and, pay people like not what they're worth. And this is not a good thing. Okay. So another thing is people who have incentive to make more will always work harder. So you need to incentivize these team members as well too. Okay. If you have a paid ads agency like I do myself, you need to incentivize your team members who are actually driving results for your agency and for your clients. You need to drive them with incentive, okay? Whatever that looks like for you, you can create that, all right, depending on what kind of agency that you have. But I know that for me personally, we actually give our media buyers and our CMO and our COO, we actually divvy up basically performance bonuses and based off of the profits that us as an agency actually generate on a monthly basis. Okay. So it's really, really useful to do it that way. Everyone feels like we're a part of like a bigger motive and we're all pushing towards a purpose and, the vision for the agency that year. Right. So people who are made aware of the potential to grow within an organization with specific checkpoints and milestones to keep in mind in order to reach those new levels within an organization will be more committed. Okay. It's really important that, of course, when you're hiring, a lot of people are good at making people aware of like, a lot of these things, like, yeah, like there's opportunity to grow. These are some milestones that you should be like looking out for, some checkpoints to make sure that you're on the right path. But they fail to reaffirm that to people once that, that new employee or that new contractor is inside of the agency or inside of the business, right? So you need to make sure you do a good job of actually communicating this more often to people. All right. It's really, really important that you do a better job of, communicating this, just because, again, people need, and especially contractors and employees, a lot of these people, they don't want to start their own business, but they want to know that they're going to be in a place that's going to, be around for the long term and actually feel like, they're doing a good work when they show up to their job and their workplace. Okay. So another thing is, you need to be looking out for obviously committed and hardworking team members. And, that is what you want to be aiming for. That's what you want to be aiming for when you're hiring. Okay. So thinkers need to be given incentive and made aware of potential to grow within the company. Doers seek comfort and security. Okay. So here's the thing. I would say that you need to find someone, and what you need to be looking for in every single position, most of the time for the higher ROI, roles, the ones that actually lead to results within your agency, you need to be looking for people that are mainly thinkers, but they're also doers. Okay. They need to be willing to come up with strategies, new opportunities, thinking of new ideas, innovating, things like that. But they also need to be willing to execute as well too. And they need to be able to have a plan of action. All right. The best person I can even give you an example of is Daisy. Some of you may know her. Obviously, she's, very relevant in the Discord community and everything that we have going. She has been like a day one for me, like my right hand woman. She's basically been at the agency for the 4.5 years that we've been an agency. She was the first person I ever hired. I knew her from back in the day from actually, high school, funny enough, but she came out of school and she had a lot of work experience with a lot of big high-end brands in, their marketing department. So she was really, really cool because not only was she someone who could think of these like new creative ideas and innovated a lot for us as an agency, especially at the start when we, God knows we needed it. But she was a doer. She would think of these ideas, she would run them by me, and then instantly she would go execute. And that is the reason why she's been around for 4.5 years. She's happier than ever. She's amazing. She's like fundamental to our agency. And those are the type of people that you want to be hiring for. Okay. People that are they're excited to show up to work, and that they're going to give it, their all, and they're there to serve clients. Okay. Now, best incentivizing payment structures for service delivery team members. Okay. So you can either, paid per client plus a percentage of the performance fee billed, paid per client plus annual profit share, base salary plus percentage of the performance fee billed, or base salary plus annual profit share. Okay. So again, you can apply this to media buyers, to your CMOs. It doesn't matter. Whatever that looks like for you in terms of an agency, because I know a lot of you aren't just an ads agency. Some of you are maybe modeling agencies. Some of you are lead gen agencies. Whatever that looks like, you will see better results churn out from your employees at your agency if you're incentivizing them. Okay. So making sure that they feel confident and safe in like some sort of guaranteed income every month, but then giving them a percentage of, the results that they're actually creating, right? The only position that this is up for discussion and up for debate is an SDR or a closer. Okay. I actually really like incentivizing my SDRs or my closers with no base salary, no guaranteed income, but they get a very good chunk of what it is that they're selling. And the reason for that is it weaves out people that aren't fully 100% confident in their ability to, close or sell. And they can make an egregious amount of money if they're just good at their job. Okay. Like way more than what any other comfortable, salary or comfortable, per client basis is going to give them. It's all commission based. Okay. That's one thing up for debate. Some people like giving a little bit of a base salary. Some people don't. Me personally, I'm all commission based when it comes to sales, because if you want to get in sales, you need to be willing to put in the work and be willing to crush it. Okay. So best security-driven payment structure for team members, all right? Pay by the hour or base monthly salary. I think that's pretty much a given. You can also do paid per client basis as well too, but that's not more of a security-driven one because, again, if clients come and go, obviously those team members are losing out on that income, right? So that's usually a good way to position it for team members that are like media buyers, for instance, because they're going to be more incentivized to keep onto those clients. So they'll be more willing to do more for them, all right? Now, recommendations for team member structure. All right. So for every single agency, your company structure will look different with team members based on the services that you provide. However, here are a few things to keep in mind when building your team. All right. Team members who start off in your service delivery department, if driven, can become some of the best executive roles in your business. All right. They know how the service delivery works, and now you just need to basically, train them up on, how to oversee other people, manage other people, and, be productive in that sort of manner. Okay. Being a leader is a little bit different than just kind of being someone that goes through the motions and is coming up with ideas and executing on their job role. Being a leader means that you are not only thinking about what you have to do, but what other people have to do, and you're guiding them, leading them. And there's a productive way of doing that. And there's, a way about going about it where you're micromanaging people, and then all of a sudden your team members start to hate you. Okay. Now, these team members can still handle their own set of clients, which are considered your highest priority clients. However, their main role as an executive should be to create new ideas to push the company forward and enable it to sustain its current success. Okay. So a good example of this, again, is like a CMO. All right. So our CMO at the agency, he basically has his own given set of clients, but not as many clients as like someone like a media buyer would handle. Okay. He takes on the highest priority clients that are huge ROI for us as an agency. These are clients that are worth like above 7K a month for us. He handles all of them, but he still has a ton of capacity to meet daily with our media buyers and to, check in with me and the other executives to make sure that like we're pushing the agency forward, where our lead flow is at. He's managing our agency lead flow campaigns as well too. So it's a lot higher level stuff. And he's basically in there providing guidance, strategy, and just like bouncing ideas off of the other media buyers to make sure that like, if they didn't think of something, he can think of something. Okay. So this is usually your highest level person that is overseeing people. Okay. So you want to keep your team as lean as possible. Right. There's no need to have individual media buyers for like Google or Facebook or TikTok. This is an example I use because I actually made the mistake of doing this. I had basically worked myself into the corner when I was building up the agency, where we had a team member for a team member first for Facebook and Instagram ads, because we started off as a Facebook agency. And then we, grew to a Google agency, but I still really liked our Facebook media buyer. He was really good. He didn't give us a reason to like let him go. So then we brought on a Google media buyer, and then we were forced to expand to TikTok, which then led us to, getting a TikTok media buyer. And it just became a mess because, again, it goes back to that issue that I had mentioned, where instead of paying one really good team member at like 3-4K a month, you're paying like individual people like very small amounts, because in your head, you're trying to keep company profit margins good and healthy, and not even for the sake of like putting money in your own pocket, but just for the sake of keeping the agency alive. And that's not a good way of approaching things. Okay. I really want to encourage you guys that you need to be kind of thinking a few steps ahead when you're hiring people. All right. Is this person someone that can handle multiple areas and actually specializes in these areas? Okay. When our agency now hires media buyers, we're hiring media buyers that know all of the platforms that we actually deliver for our clients. Okay. And that goes for Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, TikTok, and Pinterest. Okay. So 6 platforms. Every media buyer that we hire needs to be well adapted with those platforms, and they need to know them pretty much inside and out when it comes to like the creatives and the copy and the psychology. Okay. It's very, very big. All right. Very, very, very important. All right. Hire one great media buyer. And again, this is another example for media buyers. I can speak very directly to this because my agency deals a lot with media buyers, but hire one great media buyer who knows their way around all the platforms. You'll save money, and it'll create less headaches for you down the road when you scale to 15 to 20 clients. Okay. Again, this is another thing to consider, is like, if you're trying to remain like a boutique agency, you're trying to maybe scale to, 15 or 20 clients. Why would you, if you have a media buyer, managing Google, Facebook, TikTok, all these individual platforms, you're going to have to hire like 3 different media buyers to handle 10 clients. And if you want to expand to 20 clients, you're going to need 6 media buyers to do that. Whereas you could just have 2 media buyers and a CMO, half the amount of team members. Those team members are making way more money individually. They're incentivized, they're excited, and they're busy. They're kept busy. Okay. It's a way better and more lean way of running the business. Okay. Now, the media buyer under the CMO will evolve and can become more than just a regular media buyer as well too. Okay. So for those of you who manage media buyers, I want to let you know that just because, the the one media buyer who's been with you for the longest time and has really proven themselves, has elevated into a CMO position, it doesn't mean that, your other media buyers can't evolve as well too. They can evolve into maybe like specialists, media buying specialists, growth strategists, and you can start to give them a little bit more on their plate, but higher level responsibilities. And again, this can happen as your agency evolves as well too. I've probably mentioned this in other modules as well, but our agency is now transitioning into more of a growth partner agency or a growth partner firm where we're offering consulting and strategy alongside of our complete done for you service. Okay. So we have a done for you service where we're offering the paid ads management, our UGC side, where we basically find UGC creators, we'll hire them, we'll source them, we'll give them directions, storyboards. And then we actually have an in-house editor and an editing team that basically edits all the images and videos. Okay. So that's our done for you service. Now, on the side of that, we also have our consultation service, and it's built into this where we are actually helping them build out their email campaigns, helping them with their website, things like that, higher level strategy. Okay. So we're framing ourselves as that. Now, what that's enabled us to do is actually have our media buyers and our team members who are actually really good at this because, think about it. Media buyers and CMOs are seeing websites all the time. They're seeing ads and they're aware of the whole customer journey. So they know what works and what converts. So we have them basically delivering on a lot of the consultations that we offer and a lot of the higher level strategy that we provide to clients now. Okay. And, inevitably that's allowed us to actually charge more and retain clients for longer because they feel like we're basically acting as like their in-house CMO, delivering this amazing service, and they're paying half the cost of what an actual CMO would cost at their company. Okay. So some things to consider there. All right. So here's an example of basically our team structure right now as an agency, just so you have an idea. And by the way, I highly encourage all of you to use something like Lucidchart or Miro to actually visualize what this company structure for your agency can look like. Okay. Even if it doesn't go this way exactly, like the way that you create it, at least you have like a framework and something kind of like that's guiding you into the right direction. Okay. So basically we have the CEO, that's myself. I basically handle all the sales and a lot of like the content creation for the agency in terms of like creating content around myself, building my own personal brand, which inevitably attracts clients to us, and content that we can use for lead generation. We have an appointment setter. Our appointment setter basically is out doing a lot of outbound outreach, managing our cold emails, managing our DMs, managing, all of our social media, managing my social media, just doing everything to actually, book in appointments. Our appointment setter also handles at our VSL funnel. Basically, when people are opting in, he also handles basically calling up those leads who have opted in and getting them to book in a call with us, depending on where they're at qualification-wise. Okay. Then we also have a social media repurposing VA. This is just someone that basically has taken off all of my social media management for me. So he is basically, he's awesome. He basically reschedules all of my content across all of the platforms, like YouTube, sharing my TikToks to YouTube Shorts, to Instagram Reels, to Facebook Reels, you name it. He's basically sharing it. Okay. He's also making me aware of important DMs that come in that maybe, I have overlooked or I don't see. I still manage like my social media myself and my DMs quite a bit just because I like staying involved with my community and, friends, family. When people reach out to me, I want to be present and be able to respond back to them, not have my VA respond back to them. But he's basically there as kind of just like a right-hand man to kind of help me. Then we basically have our CMO, our Chief Marketing Officer, who handles, like I said, a handful of his own high-level clients, but then also oversees and manages our media buyers. Okay, our media buyers and our CMO, of course, our media buyers and our CMO, they're all trained up on all the platforms that we work with. Okay, they're all trained up on the platforms that we work with. If you're a content agency, you want to be hiring video editors that are very, very confident in multiple niches, right? Multiple niches, just in case that if you're a video editing agency that doesn't maybe target a single niche, that's totally fine. But your niche is video editing. That's what you specialize in. You want to make sure that you're hiring for someone that is capable in all those areas. Okay. So again, apply that framework when you're hiring for people. They need to, they need to be able to grow within the company in the way that you want them to. And then on the other side of things, we also have our Chief Operations Officer. Okay, so Chief Operations Officer manages all of the basically the back-end operations of us as an agency, bounces tons of ideas off of me and the CMO in order to make sure that like our client accounts are improving, this is Daisy, by the way, our COO. So she basically handles a lot of client communication, making sure client success is at the forefront, making sure that they're happy, client satisfaction is through the roof. She does a lot of like check-in calls with our clients, and just makes sure that like nothing falls through the cracks. Really make sure that the agency is running as smoothly as possible. And if there's a fire to put out, she's always the one there with the fire extinguisher putting it out. Okay. She manages basically our creative director and our video editors. Okay. So she very closely works with them. Our creative director basically builds out the storyboards, finds UGC creators, sources them and hires them, and then connects them with the brands that we are working with, our clients, and then provides them with storyboards that they can basically, as UGC creators, follow and create content for them to send to us, for then us to give it to our video editor to then edit. Okay. And I should probably have video / image editor, or just, full on, creative editor, but basically like he edits the images and the videos for our clients. Very, very simple. Okay. And that's basically it. Okay, guys. So that is it for today's module. I hope this gave you, a more clear breakdown of how you need to be approaching the structure of your team, how to go about your hiring before you start creating your hiring systems and SOPs. And again, in later modules, we do get into, the exact SOPs and frameworks that you need to be considering and applying when actually hiring. Okay. But this module is really important because you need to develop the mindset and right frame of mind to approach your hiring. Okay. So I don't have action steps written here for today because this is more of just a training sort of module. But what I will encourage you to do is download the apps or get access to the apps like Miro or Lucid Chart. They both have free options, so you're good there. And just start mapping out what you feel like would be a good team structure for your agency. Now that you have this information and you know how to approach your hiring, you should be more capable of seeing a few steps into the future. Okay. You need to be thinking a few steps ahead. Do not do what I did. And if you are an agency that works with multiple platforms, start hiring individual people for individual platforms. Do not do that. Okay. It's not good. You need to be thinking a few steps ahead for scaling. All right. I know I've mentioned this in previous modules, but you need to ask yourself the rule of 20. Okay. Is what I'm doing right now duplicatable amongst 20 people? All right. You need to ask yourself this. This is an important question that will allow you to filter out making good decisions or making bad decisions in your business and in your agency. Okay. Enough of my rambling. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoy this module. If you guys have any questions about your hiring, drop your questions in the community. Either me and my team or the community will be happy to help you guys out. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you guys in the next module.